Hi, so I just kind of want to give a kind of tax season ends of the fiscal year update on how things are going. Let's see. Student numbers are slowly increasing. Right now is the time of year, March and April, where you'll have some go, and then inevitably, and then hopefully more new ones will come in than old ones go. So we'll wait until the end of next month. Well, it usually lasts until like maybe late June. You get the influx happening. Um, but in more recent news, this week is the week where your taxes have to be turned in, all your paperwork in Japan. Um, so this year I actually went with a different tax accountant. I was just so disappointed. I couldn't understand what the company I went with last year actually did for me. Besides, put the stamp on the paperwork. That's actually a good thing to have if you're ever if everyone's if someone ever kind of questions like is that really right? Um, having the sorry I just got an email. Having the stamp of officialdom from a real tax company can save you some trouble. Not that I would ever get in trouble because I try to be organized with everything. But anyways, so yeah, new tax accountant this year, way better than the old tax accountant, like by far. I couldn't believe it, night and day. So that's something. Another lesson I've learned is that if you're going to go with the tax accountants, make sure they're actually going to give you something that makes it worthwhile. So the last one I went with didn't, and I really regret it. I felt like, wait, what? Like I ended up paying more money than I've ever paid ever for taxes and insurance. And my old new tax accountant looked at it and said like, wow, you paid that? So there's a big variance, I guess. So shop around, and if you don't get a guarantee, they don't absolutely guarantee you this is what I can do. Um, don't go with them. You're better off just filling it out yourself. It's not that hard as long as you have the patience. Like half a day, go down to City Hall. Most cities will have some kind of like public open place around this time of year where you can just literally take the forms you need to fill out, your bank book, and all of the receipts you've saved for the year. They're not stoked if you show up like that. It's usually a little better if you kind of organize things, but people do that, and apparently it's okay. But yeah, just if you're going to spend money in any business, make sure there's a reason for it, and it's going to at least let you break even at worst, and at most, save you some money. So I'm pretty happy about that. I don't really have much else to add. Um, so I guess, well, okay. So now that I'm not quite so focused on like a lesson by lesson basis and really in a state of mind where I'll take anything I can get, now that it's been a few years and there's kind of like a center of mass that the edges change. A few students will come, a few students will go, but the general average is pretty stable. Now that I'm at that point, I'm trying to focus more on blocking classes together. During the week, that it kind of just works out that way. It's pretty unusual to have classes during the week earlier than about 3, maybe 2 o'clock, unless it's someone who's retired or it's someone's day off. Um, but you do sometimes. I've worked for other schools where they were like, "Hey, you work here, so you're available from classes between 10 and 10." It didn't always work out that you were like working 10 to 10, but sometimes you'd have a class at like 10:30 in the morning and then another one at 9 o'clock at night, and there would be kind of nothing in between. That happened once or twice, and basically it ruins your day. It's a bizarre feeling. So, and it can also really mess with your productivity, especially if you're the guy doing everything else, not just teaching. So blocking things together is really important. And then I think I mentioned again, sorry about that in here, just never ending. Blocking things together, and what that does is it helps your workflow. You don't keep getting your productive periods interrupted by something else. It throws you off balance, and you can end up losing easily. You can end up losing the entire day in you only taught like 3 classes, and you've like forgot to go to the bank. It's weird how it works out. So time management is huge. I think I mentioned that in a video before. It's not rocket science, but these things tend to make themselves a little bit more known when there's nothing fencing you in, so to speak. You know, you don't have a set show-up time or a time to clock out, and you're generally going to have a lot more to deal with than just teaching classes. So that's about where it is. Yeah, no really good news, no really bad news. Everything's kind of cruising along. Although I'd say this new tax account, his work, is actually pretty good news, because it looks like come next year, I'm going to be able to save a lot more money, which is huge. So I'm happy about that. It's amazing, like, how much money you can go through when you're running your own business. I never thought about it before. It's really nice to have a salary, but as those of you who have ever taught here in Japan know, it's really unlikely it's going to change very much. I mean, a lot of the... Sorry, I really need a haircut. A lot of the... When I came to Japan 10 years ago, the salary that was the average was the same 10 years... No, I think even more, maybe 10 or 20 years before that. Which, you know, at the time was amazing, but it's not changing. And people still come into the country for that, and they still make that, sometimes less, and it doesn't really change. So, when you step out of that world, you're going to be taking on a lot more risk, but like any business, you are a platform, right? And the better platform you provide, the more people are going to be interested in making use of it. And so you've kind of got to just stay focused on the future and take the hits as they come. They're going to come, but don't get too upset about it. Even the most successful businesses in the world, they're constantly losing and gaining customers. It's just they have the average is stable enough that it doesn't affect them that much. It doesn't rock the boat so much, so to speak. It's kind of like cryptocurrencies right now, right? Like their markets are so sensitive because they're actually really small. And so people are saying like, oh, no way, man, they're totally volatile. I wouldn't even go near one of those. Like, let's wait until the market gets bigger and see what happens, you know? So it's like that. You start off small, you're susceptible to smaller changes affecting you in a bigger way. And as you get more stable, you get more stable. So that's about it for this time. I don't really have anything else to say, but I felt like putting something up. I noticed a few more people subscribed, so thank you for that. I'm not the biggest YouTuber in the world, but I love kind of sharing content, and I love hearing back from people, and so thank you for that. If you have any questions, or you know, even if you're curious about doing an interview or something, I'm totally open to that. So I hope whoever sees this finds it helpful, and at the very least somewhat entertaining. So until next time, thank you guys for watching, and happy spring.